Have you ever just, you know, said yes to something and then thought, wait, why did I agree to that?
Happens all the time, right?
Totally. Or you see how some requests just seem to slide right through. There are these like hidden forces shaping our choices constantly.
Definitely.
So welcome to the deep dive. We're here to give you that shortcut, that deeper understanding of the science behind why we say
The
yes.
psychology of persuasion.
Exactly. And today we're digging into Dr. Robert Cialdini's really groundbreaking book, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion.
It's a classic for a reason.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what I find so cool is Cialdini wasn't just like theorizing in an office. He's a psychologist, yeah, but he spent years out there,
In the real world.
Yeah, salespeople, advertisers, fundraisers,
Mhm.
seeing how these influence tactics actually work on the ground. It's like getting a peek behind the curtain of how we decide things.
And that's our mission for this deep dive, really. We want to unpack Cialdini's 6 big principles of influence. Plus, there's a bonus one he talks about a lot, too.
Oh, right, the bonus.
Yeah. And we're not just going to list them. We want to get into why they work, the psychology behind them, how they affect us every day.
And how to spot them, maybe use them ethically.
Exactly. Ethically is key. This stuff is practical for marketing, sure, but also sales, leading a team, even just, daily life.
I'm actually really excited to get into these. The examples are often so surprising, but then you think, oh yeah, I've seen that. Makes it all click.
It really does.
Okay, let's unpack this. Where should we start? Maybe with that foundational one, reciprocity.
Sounds good. Reciprocity. It's really fundamental to being human, isn't it? This strong urge to give back when someone gives you something.
We feel like we owe them.
Exactly. It's a social glue, almost. We feel obligated to return favors, gifts, even compliments.
And it doesn't take much, does it? That example you mentioned, the waiters and the candy. It's brilliant.
It is. Just giving one little piece of candy with the bill bumps up the tip.
But then giving 2 pieces.
Even bigger bump. It's fascinating.
So what's going on there psychologically? It seems so minor. But the effect is, well, significant.
Well, it's tapping into something deep. It's not just a transaction like candy for tip money. It feels like a genuine gesture, even if it's small and, maybe part of their strategy.
So it builds a little connection, bit of trust.
Precisely. It leverages that human tendency to want things to be fair, to build a little goodwill before the actual ask, which in this case is the implied ask for a good tip.
Which connects to offering value first, right? Like a free sample or an ebook or a trial.
Absolutely. Give something of value, build that sense of slight indebtedness, and then the person is more receptive later. But Cialdini is really clear on this.
Use it ethically.
Yes. Build trust. Don't just, manipulate. It has to be genuine value.
Okay, so reciprocity kind of opens the door. What about keeping people engaged once they've stepped through? That sounds like the next one. Commitment and consistency.
That's it. People really, really like to be consistent with what they've already said or done.
Even if it was tiny to begin with.
Especially if it was tiny. Once we make a commitment, however small, we feel this internal pressure to stick with it. Our brains just don't like inconsistency. It feels, uncomfortable.
Cognitive dissonance, right?
Exactly. We want our actions and beliefs to line up.
And that study, the one with the signs in the yard, that's just wild.
Oh yeah, the safe driving signs. First, they asked homeowners to put up a tiny little sign in their window. Pretty easy yes for most people.
Okay, yeah, seems harmless.
Right. But then, a few weeks later, they went back to those same people and asked them to put a huge kind of ugly billboard on their front lawn with the same message.
Because they'd said yes to the tiny sign.
They were way, way more likely to say yes to the giant billboard than people who were asked cold. That first small yes totally changed their self-perception. They now saw themselves as people who support safe driving publicly.
Wow. So that initial micro-commitment, as you called it.
Yeah, like signing up for an email list or maybe buying a really low-cost introductory product.
It makes people much more likely to go for the bigger ask later, like the full subscription or the premium version.
That's the idea. You're consistent with your earlier choice.
Makes sense. We like to
Yeah.
think we're consistent people.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what if we're not sure what to commit to? What if we're uncertain?
Well, that's where the third principle really kicks in. Social proof.
People follow the crowd.
Basically, yeah. When we're unsure, especially in a new or ambiguous situation, we look around to see what everyone else is doing. We figure, well, if they're doing it, it must be the right thing.
It's a mental shortcut.
It is. Saves us thinking time. And it often works.
That hotel towel example is so relatable, just changing the sign.
Right. Instead of just asking people to reuse towels, they put up signs saying something like 75% of guests who stayed in this room reused their towels.
And reuse rates went up significantly.
They did, because people saw that other people, like them, people who stayed in the same room, were doing it. That similarity is key.
So the more the proof comes from people we see as similar to us, the stronger the effect.
Exactly. Which is why marketers use things like testimonials from relatable customers, user reviews showing subscriber numbers.
Join 50,000 happy customers, that kind of thing.
Yep. Or bestseller labels. It tells you lots of other people chose this, so it's probably a safe, good choice. Reduces uncertainty.
Okay, safety in numbers. But sometimes it's not the crowd we follow, is it? Sometimes it's just one person, if they seem like they know what they're talking about.
And that brings us neatly to principle number 4, authority.
We trust experts, or at least people who look the part.
We really do. We're heavily influenced by people we perceive as having knowledge, credibility, or, well, authority. We tend to just defer to their judgment.
That famous study Cialdini talks about with the person in the lab coat.
Oh, the Milgram experiments were related, but Cialdini highlights similar effects. People were far more willing to follow instructions, even uncomfortable ones, when the person giving them was wearing a uniform or a lab coat compared to just regular clothes.
Just the coat.
Just the coat. It's a symbol. Authority cues are powerful. Think titles like doctor or professor, or credentials, awards, years of experience.
Even how someone speaks, like a confident tone.
Absolutely. Tone of voice, posture, even things like a police uniform or a judge's robe, they all signal authority and trigger a kind of automatic deference in us. It's another mental shortcut, trust the expert.
It's amazing how much those symbols matter. Okay, so we follow the crowd, we follow the experts.
Yeah.
What about just following people we, well, like?
Principle 5. Liking. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it?
We say yes to people we like. Yeah, seems obvious. But is it really that influential?
Hugely underestimated, I think. We are just fundamentally more likely to be persuaded by people we know and like, or even people we just feel are likable or similar to us.
So what makes us like someone in this context?
Cialdini points to a few things. Simple familiarity helps. Compliments work wonders, even if we suspect they might not be 100% sincere.
Really? Even flattery?
Yep. And similarity is huge. We like people who are like us, same background, same interests, same opinions.
And that salesperson example. Mirroring the customer.
Oh yeah, that's fascinating. Salespeople trained to subtly mirror a customer's posture, their speech patterns, even their mood.
That's how big increases in sales.
Dramatic increases. It creates an unconscious feeling of rapport, of this person gets me, they're like me.
So in marketing, that's why they use spokespeople who seem really relatable or attractive.
Yeah.
Or tell emotional stories.
Exactly. It's all about building that connection, that feeling of liking and trust. Connect over shared values, make them feel good. It builds that bridge.
Okay, makes sense. Now, for the last of the main 6, the one that always makes me feel a bit anxious, scarcity.
Yes. Principle 6. Scarcity. We want what's rare, or what we think is rare.
That fear of missing out, FOMO. It's powerful.
Incredibly powerful. Things just seem more desirable when their availability is limited, either by time or quantity. We perceive them as more valuable.
Like the British Airways Concorde example. That's a perfect illustration.
It really is. The plane didn't change, the service didn't change, but the moment they announced they were going to stop flying the Concorde,
Ticket sales went through the roof.
instantly. Because suddenly the opportunity was disappearing, it became scarce.
And we see this everywhere online, don't we? Limited time offer, only 3 seats left at this price. Flash sale ends tonight.
All classic scarcity tactics, countdown timers, limited editions, they all push us to act now before the opportunity is gone.
But you mentioned a really important warning from Cialdini earlier.
Yes, absolutely critical. The scarcity has to be real.
If it's fake.
It completely backfires. If customers feel like they're being manipulated with fake urgency, you don't just lose the sale, you lose trust. And credibility is much harder to get back.
That's a huge point. Fake urgency feels awful as a customer. Okay, so those are the big 6. But you mentioned a bonus insight.
Yeah, it's not one of the core 6 in the same way, but Cialdini emphasizes it because it works so well with the others. It's the power of contrast.
Contrast. Okay, how does that work?
Basically, how we perceive something depends heavily on what we compare it to just before. Change feels bigger when it's set against a contrasting background.
Like that real estate agent trick.
Exactly. Show the buyer a really dilapidated, overpriced house first, the setup property.
Make it seem awful.
Right. Then you show them the house you actually want them to buy. Maybe it's just okay, maybe slightly overpriced too.
But compared to the first one.
It looks amazing, like a fantastic deal. The contrast makes the second option seem much more attractive than it might have seemed on its own.
So you see this in pricing too. Like showing the original price slashed out next to the sale price.
Definitely. Makes the discount feel much bigger. Or comparing your product features to a competitor's weaker offering. It's all about managing the context, the comparison point, to make your offer seem more appealing.
That's really clever. So we've got these 6 principles plus contrast. But you said they often work together.
Oh, absolutely. They're rarely used in isolation in the real world. The most effective persuasion often layers several principles together.
Can you give an example of how that might look?
Sure. Think about, say, signing up for a free software trial online.
Okay.
Offering it for free taps into reciprocity, right? You're getting something valuable.
Makes sense.
Then maybe the trial only lasts for 14 days, or access is limited, that's scarcity, urges you to use it and decide.
Okay, got it.
The website might feature testimonials from big-name companies or experts in the field, that's authority.
Right.
And it probably shows thousands of happy users or positive review. Hello, social proof.
Yep, see that all the time.
The website copy might be really friendly, maybe tells a relatable story about the founder building liking.
Uh-huh.
And maybe the very first step isn't buy now, but something smaller, like enter your email to get started. That's a small commitment, making you more likely to follow through later.
Wow, okay. When you break it down like that, you see how they all stack up.
Exactly. It's a combined effect, hitting multiple psychological triggers,
Yeah.
much more powerful than just one principle alone.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big message we should take away from Cialdini's work?
I think the core idea is that persuasion isn't really about force or trickery, not when done right. It's about understanding these fundamental human tendencies.
Dealing what makes people tick.
Pretty much. And Cialdini is always stressing the ethics. Use this knowledge to genuinely help people, to provide real value, not to manipulate them into things they'll regret.
So understanding it can help you, say, build the better brand people trust, or write ads that actually connect.
Absolutely. Or sell more confidently because you know you're meeting a real need. It's about earning trust by understanding and serving people better.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Now that you know about these principles, reciprocity, commitment, social proof, authority, liking, scarcity, and contrast.
How does that change things for you?
Yeah. How might it change how you see the ads, the requests, the interactions you encounter every single day?
And maybe even how you choose to communicate. Can you be more influential but also maintain that integrity?
Something to think about. Start looking for these principles out in the wild. You'll definitely start noticing them everywhere.